You're watching the UK Tonight. Coming up, the family of Harshita Brella and their search for answers. The 24-year-old's body was found in the boot of a car last year. Police are searching for her husband in India. Also ahead, fans and players expressing anger at Southampton over Spygate. A decision to the club's appeal expected imminently, criticising the disproportionate punishment. The government pauses plans to hike up fuel duty. We look at what impact the Iran war is having on the cost of living. Advocates of children in Send express outrage about a Department of Education video featuring Gemma Collins. And Formula One former champion Jenson Button on the unique way of encouraging children to get excited about motorsport. All that to come and much more on the UK Tonight. Well, we begin tonight with a family's desperate search to find the killer of a woman whose body was found in the boot of a car in East London. 24-year-old Harshita Brella was found in Ilford in November 2024. She's thought to have been killed 4 days earlier. It's believed her husband, Pankaj Lamba, fled to India. A manhunt is ongoing to locate him. He has been charged with her murder. Harshita's family have now come to the UK as part of their campaign for justice. I sat down to speak to Harshita's sister and her father with the help of an interpreter.
इंडिया से बैठे-बैठे हम पुलिस से जो अपडेट मांगते थे वो हमें सही
It's been a long time sitting in India and the police have not given us any updates. Everything was happening in a hidden way and we haven't received any updates even though 18 months have passed. And so far, no efforts have been made by UK police to get Pankaj.
पंकज को पकड़ने की तरफ एक भी कदम नहीं बढ़ाया है यूके पुलिस ने.
Harshita arrived in the UK to join her husband, her then estranged husband at the time of her death, in April 2024. She was killed 8 months later. Can you tell me about your sister? We're looking at a beautiful picture of her this evening. What was she like?
I know she's looking beautiful, I understand, and she's just humble person and she's very family-oriented person and she loves to help others. And she always thinks if I'm good to all, so God always planned good for me. She's just type of person.
As I said, she was only in the UK for 7 months. But in that time, a couple of months after arriving in the UK to join her then husband, Pankaj Lamba, she reported domestic violence to police. And that has been part of an independent investigation where police failings have been found. In fact, it's still being investigated. Do you feel that the police let your sister down? And by a stalled investigation, are they still letting her down?
Yeah, police is totally failed to protect my sister. That's why we are here, and it's clearly mentioned in IOPC reports. So everyone knows in UK the IOPC about this misconduct. 4 police person, I think, misconduct in this case. Yeah, my sister is calling to police and officers, and then they said that we are on holiday and we are not. Come to you, but she wait. They just give to a fixed date, we are coming, but they just make an excuse, we are not able. When she need anything, she called to police. They said, this is number for these problems. We are not here to solve this problem for particularly this problem to here. So they never give a guidance to her. They never warn to my sister about the risk. And they totally ignore Harshita Brella. And this is the result in front of us.
Sabir, can you give me an idea of what the effect has been on your family, the loss of your daughter?
After the death of our daughter, our family is completely broken, but we are going to fight until the end to get justice.
Another important part of this is there is still a hunt ongoing for Pankaj Lamba, who's believed to have left the UK for India. A murder charge was authorised against him. There have been sightings of him in India, but so far there has been no confirmed progress on extradition proceedings. Have you had any updates from the UK authorities or Indian authorities about bringing him back to the UK to face justice?
Yeah, we also want for the extradition because, you know, we need to be set an example for the others. For the, it's not easy for others to just kill and run away from here. It's a, I think, stigma on UK police. So I think it should be a last chance to prove their self a strongest image to worldwide for UK police. So I just want UK police should take a strong action against Pankaj Lamba.
And Sonia, do you think it makes a difference, you being here, you being in the UK face to face with the people who can help your family, who can bring about justice? It is a shame that you have had to travel from India to the UK to ask these questions. But do you feel like this is what it will take to move this forward?
Yeah, sure, why not? When I am here, I just saw the people are very supporting. They are helping to us for the justice. Everyone knows about the Harshita Brella, and it's really a big thing. But yes, we want support from authorities, from government, and from police, and so they can make pressure to Indian police and Indian government, because you know India is the biggest country, so there's on police they have many pressure for other cases. So I just want they just prioritize my case, my sister's case. They just give a priority to Harshita Brella murder case because it's 18 months. So Pankaj is roaming around, freely roaming in India.
And a final question sat there as her father. People remember what happened to your daughter, your sister. It was a shocking case. But how do you want people to think about her, to remember her?
My daughter was a lovely girl. She was very hard-working. She was full of passion. She came to the UK because she had a dream, and she couldn't fulfill her dream here because of what happened to her.
Well, in response to our interview with the Brella family, we did get in touch with Northamptonshire Police, who said that they would be meeting the family this week. They gave us this statement from Detective Superintendent Johnny Campbell, the senior investigating officer in this case, who said this has been and remains an exceptionally complex case. A murder investigation was launched following Harshita's death in November 2024, and in March 2025, 24-year-old Pankaj Lamba, Harshita's husband, was charged with her murder. With criminal proceedings active in the UK, we are unable to go into detail about the case. The investigation, however, is very much ongoing. We're continuing to work with the appropriate agencies, both in the UK and internationally, and remain as determined as ever to secure justice for Harshita and her family. Southampton Football Club has appealed the decision to expel them from the playoffs over what is being called Spygate. The football club has apologised for the incident, calling it wrong, saying the fans deserve better. But it insists that the punishment isn't in proportion with the offence. Well, here is the statement from the club, which says, we accept that there should be a sanction. What we cannot accept is a sanction which bears no proportion to the offence. Leeds United was fined £200,000 for a similar offence. Southampton has been denied the opportunity to compete in a game worth more than £200 million, and one which means so much to our staff, players and supporters. The Commission was entitled to impose a sanction. It was not, we will argue, entitled to impose one that is manifestly disproportionate to every previous sanction in the history of the English game. Well, Saints admitted to spying on 3 clubs during the regular football season, with one of its staff members pictured here at Middlesbrough's training ground ahead of their playoff semi-final. Borough, who lost to Southampton over 2 legs, will now face Hull City at Wembley on Saturday, with a place in the Premier League at stake. Southampton were also handed a 4-point deduction for next season. Well, Sky News has been speaking to some supporters of Southampton Football Club today about Spygate and the ruling.
How are you feeling today?
It's a mix of emotions, really, to be honest with you. Like, just angry was my first one, angry at the club, everyone involved. Obviously upset that we're not going to Wembley and obviously playoff final and everything like that. But yeah, just confused, mate, a bit embarrassed as well.
The EFL decides that it's OK, we're going to ban them, we're going to hit them with the points deduction, we're going to penalise the fans, and it's not fair.
We deserve it. At the end of the day, we deserve it because what we've done was out of order. It's out of character, club character as well. So I'd like to know behind the scenes what's going on.
What's today feeling like?
Well, out of all the 55, 56 years I've been supporting Saints, this is the lowest point. We've had some ups and downs as a club. We've been relegated, we've been administration, but I have to say this is the worst.
They'd all got tickets to go up on the Saturday and stay over the night. They're all absolutely devastated about it.
Can you talk me through just what the plan was for the weekend?
Well, yeah, the kids are all going to go up with their dads, stay over, just have a nice time, really, and just plans completely ruined.
So we always had unquestionable integrity within the game, and that has completely been violated to the extreme now. So to say I'm angry is a massive understatement.
Oh, well, we are expecting the outcome of that appeal any moment now. Jess Crichton from Sky Sports is here with us in the studio. Right, this is a big evening for Southampton Football Club and its fans that we heard from. They're so disappointed. What a way to end their season. And this result, imminent, we understand. Where are we at this point, do you think? Do you think they'll be able to overturn that decision, given they admitted that there was wrongdoing?
They did. They've held their hands up and they have apologised. But the juxt of it is we're currently in the procedure of an appeal as it stands right now. This is what's going on. It's happening right now. We, as you say, expect a decision very imminently. But Southampton have released a statement a bit earlier before the appeal process started, and they did admit wrongdoing. They did say what they did was wrong and it shouldn't have happened. They said that their fans deserved more. They have apologised for what they did, but the juxt of their appeal is that they feel the punishment is disproportionate to what they have done. And so that is why they have decided to appeal. It's not the fact that they have been sanctioned by being thrown out of the playoffs and deducted 4 points. It's that they feel the punishment is too harsh for the crime committed.
Yeah, that's the crux of their appeal. And they reference Leeds being fined £200,000 for doing something similar. However, since that incident occurred, the rules have been toughened up to essentially stop it from happening again. And I wonder if that is what this appeal may fall down on, the fact that it did happen, the rules were toughened up and Southampton should have known better.
Very much so. I think you've got the gist of it there, spot on, actually, SJ. There was no rule in place when Leeds were caught spying on Derby back in 2019. There is a rule in place now because of that very incident when the then Leeds head coach, Marcelo Bielsa, held his hands up and said, well, it's not wrong legally because there's no rule in place. Morally, there was a debate off the back of that, and that's why this rule has come in. But also, when Leeds were called, it wasn't ahead of a winner-takes-all game. It was during the regular league season.
Richest game in football.
Exactly, the most lucrative game in football, which is worth hundreds of millions of pounds because the prize is a place in the Premier League for a season. Now, Leeds admitted spying as well, but Southampton, I think perhaps some people are forgetting, in the process of their statement, admitted to spying on other clubs as well, not just Middlesbrough. So this is a repeat offence.
Not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Exactly that. And I feel as though the EFL will want to show people that they are serious about the rule that they've put in place, and they want to deter anyone from ever trying to do this again.
Well, we await the result of that appeal. I'm literally just watching my computer because it will pop up as an urgent newswire. As you said, it's ongoing as we speak, and as soon as we get that result, we'll bring it to you here on Sky News. In the meantime, let's talk about this a bit further. Let's talk to former Saints player Charlie Austin. I mean, Charlie, you'll have been following this closely, given your ties to the club. Have you got any sympathy for Southampton? Because I'm not sure many people away from the football club will have, given what we've just outlined.
Southampton fans and everybody connected to, yes. However, Southampton Football Club, no, because they knew they was breaking the rules. Now, I listened to both of you talking. The rule come in after Marcelo Bielsa done what he did with Leeds and Derby. However, there was no sanction. And Southampton have gone and done that, and they didn't expect that to happen. However, the EFL now have gone to the extreme. Whatever word you want to say, the most lucrative game that is in the EFL to get promoted via the playoffs to the Premier League. This is what will happen if you are caught spying/cheating.
Yeah.
Because
you say go to the extreme. They're just enforcing the rules.
Yeah, but the problem was they never put no sanction in to scare off teams. Now, this is the case that will happen, that if any team is caught breaking the rules, you will be punished, and punished heavily.
Charlie, as a former player, I mean, you look at Hull City and their players at the moment. They're 3 days out from one of the biggest games of their career, and they don't 100% know yet who they'll be playing. How difficult is that for a player?
I feel like they have been the forgotten party in all of this, if I'm honest. Everything's been on Southampton and Middlesbrough, but Hull beat a very good Millwall team. Now, they're preparing, like you say, for one of their biggest games of their careers to potentially make the promised land. To every boy's dream is to play in the Premier League. And unfortunately, now they are waiting with all this going on. But they will know they've got a job to do, whether they're playing Southampton or whether they're playing Middlesbrough. They are there on merit, and they've got a job to do come Saturday afternoon.
Charlie, as you said, you feel sorry for the fans and for the players as well, who have done all that hard work to get one game away from the Premier League, you know, the biggest league in the world, arguably. There are rumours today that Southampton could face a legal challenge from their own players, given what they're about to miss out on. Where do you stand on that? How angry would you be if you were in this current Southampton team?
That's such a tough question. I'd be furious. I really would. Every player would have an individual bonus in their contract as well as a team bonus. But you are being punished for the promised land. Not all of them players have played in the Premier League. That's the issue. Now, you are talking about a lot of wealth. Yes, we talk about the football side, but the gold pot to make the Premier League is incredible. And some of these players, unfortunately, may never get the opportunity to play there, let alone play in a playoff final, 90 minutes, 120 minutes penalty shootout, to reach the promised land, as everybody says. So I feel for the players, of course I do, but they are connected to Southampton Football Club. And when them people made the decisions to go and spy and cheat, whatever you want to say it as, unfortunately, they're part of the spider web, even though they didn't have nothing to do with it.
How will this reflect on the football club? Because, as I said, the appeal, we haven't had the decision yet. I mean, gosh, what an outcome that would be if it was all change again and Southampton were back in the final. But while we wait for that, if this appeal doesn't go their way, they'll have a 4-point deduction in the Championship next season, and this will be hanging over them. I mean, you can only imagine how the players will feel. If the players stay at that club over the summer, given what's happened, how damaging could this be for Southampton?
It is damaging to everybody involved with the hierarchy that's given the green light, etc., to go and do this. However, I do believe the 4-point deduction from a player point of view becomes irrelevant because it's a win, it's a draw. It's 2 wins and you're above that, which you can kind of park that going into a new season because, as we know with the EFL, it's 46 games and it's tough. And you have the ups and downs of that. You're never going to go unbeaten through the EFL. Of course, you're not. Reading still have 106 points record that's been there and it won't be beaten again. However, you will always be thinking, I do not want to be part of this club just in case they are doing it again. And this is why this sanction is so important, not just to Southampton, but every club that's involved with the EFL.
Well, we await that appeal decision. As I said, it should be coming within the time frame of this show, and we will bring it to you here on Sky News as soon as we get it. Charlie Austin, former Saints player, thank you so much, and Jess Crichton as well, who we'll see later on in the programme with the rest of the day's sports news. Thank you both. Right, let's talk about the cost of living, shall we? The government has paused plans to hike fuel duty. Now, the tax was due to go up in September, but it's now going to be kept frozen because of the impact that the war in Iran is having on the price at the petrol pumps. Our business and economics correspondent Paul Kelso has this report.
The government has announced that a 5p cut to fuel duty, the tax we pay on every litre of petrol and diesel, will be extended to the end of the year. Hauliers will also get a holiday from road tax, and red diesel for farmers also gets a duty cut. It's all part of what the Chancellor is promising will be a package of measures to support families with the cost of living. So why has she moved on fuel? Well, the short answer is that the soaring price of oil caused by the attacks on Iran has made raising duty as planned politically impossible. Look, petrol is up at almost 160 pence a litre, diesel 35 pence more than that, approaching its post-Ukraine war peaks. And of these, pump prices a whopping 52.95 pence on every litre is duty. And it was from September, it was due to start rising by 1p, then 2p more in December. But that now won't happen. And this helps us understand why. We can see what makes up the price of a litre of petrol and diesel here. The dark blue is wholesale costs, around a third of a litre of petrol and almost 40% for diesel. There's a small margin for delivery and retailers, and the largest slice, VAT in yellow and duty in red. 38% of the petrol price and 33% of diesel. Adding the full 5p of duty back on top of that, which was the plan by next March, would have pushed the tax take even higher when there is no guarantee that oil prices will fall. Now, this freeze comes with an immediate cost of £400 million to the Treasury and a likely further erosion of the money the measure raises. This shows fuel duty as a share of GDP, and you can see it's been in steady decline. The effective rate has fallen in real terms as successive governments have frozen it. George Osborne was the first back in 2011, and every year since then, chancellors of all stripes have continued with the annual fiction that it will be increased before they freeze it in the next budget. In 22-23, Rishi Sunak went further. He cut it by another 5p. That's the move Rachel Reeves had promised to reverse until she reversed. Now, we won't know what happens to fuel duty beyond the end of this year until the budget, and given the turmoil in the Labour Party, we can't even be sure Rachel Reeves will deliver that budget. But given the long history of what happens when chancellors run into motorists, another freeze is not out of the question.
Now, a development on a story that you will be aware of. 3 women whose bodies were recovered from the sea in Brighton. Today, they have been named as 3 sisters from London. Graham Stothard has been following the latest developments in this really grim story, Graham. And what can you tell us?
Well, so police said that they had identified them last Thursday, but only today have they released those details to the public, their names, their ages, and as you said, those details only add more heartbreak to what is already a really tragic story. 3 sisters, all of them in their 30s. You had the oldest, Jane Adetorro. She was 36. Christina Walter was 32. And Rebecca Walter, just a year younger, at 31. They were all from Uxbridge in London. Their father, Joseph, has said losing them has left an emptiness that words cannot heal. In a statement released via Sussex Police, he also said, "No words can truly describe the pain of losing 3 daughters in the prime of their lives. Jane, Christina and Becky were more than daughters to me. They were my joy, my strength and the beautiful light that filled our family with happiness and love." At the moment, police are still trying to figure out how they ended up in the water. Their bodies were recovered from the sea off Brighton after emergency services were called last Wednesday at 6 a.m. to reports of bodies in the water. They say there's no evidence that a crime has been committed, but they are investigating. They say they will leave no stone unturned. They're also asking people who may have seen the sisters overnight on Tuesday into Wednesday to come forward to speak to them. But they're also obviously asking that the family be given space, be given privacy to grieve.
OK, Graham, thank you very much. Graham Stothard there with that development in what really is a tragic story. Thank you. Still to come here on the UK Tonight. Why a crossover between reality TV star Gemma Collins and the government has caused huge controversy. And the warning from nurses about mental health support for children. What's the best thing about being a Sky News presenter? Perfect. Let's bring you some breaking news. Being a Sky News presenter. I began by asking...
Thank you so much.
...trusting us to tell her story. The battle for number 10. Sky News has been given exclusive access. Let me give you a sneak peek. It was the day those present would never forget. Why did you decide to open up and tell your story? A video featuring reality TV star Gemma Collins for the Department of Education has been criticised for being insensitive and making light of special educational needs. In the promotional video, the former Only Way is Essex star declares that she's been enlisted to help sort things out as she walks into the government building. Here is a clip of that video.
Right. What are we doing to help the children?
Come in, let's have a chat.
You better make sure, honeys, that whatever you're going to be learning, you concentrate because you're going to be taking it into your future career. And one day, kids, this could be you. I hope this will help people to be ambitious.
OK, that is the collaboration between the GC and the Department of Education, and it's safe to say it has not gone down well with a large community of parents, one of which joins us now, author and campaigner Lisa Lloyd. Lisa, good evening to you. That is just a snippet of a series of videos that have been released by the Department of Education featuring Gemma Collins. You've watched them all. What have you made of this partnership?
Shocking, to be honest. I think that's what many of us parents felt, first of all, was what has, you know, the GC, who we all love, got, you know, a reality star, got to do with the Department for Education. You know, in one of my videos, I said it makes about as much sense as David Attenborough advertising tampons. It's just crazy. And it felt like it was a huge slap in the face to all us parents that are going through such huge worries and concerns for our children, especially in the SEND world at the moment. There's been lots of things coming out about the white paper, our children's EHCPs possibly being removed, and it is a real concern for us all. And to see it being so light-hearted and clearly been, you know, there's been a lot of money spent on this campaign. It just felt like, once again, us parents, campaigners, teachers are just not being listened to.
Yeah. Lisa, as you said at the start, we're not throwing shade at the GC. She's very popular. However, however, this collaboration with the Department of Education has come out of the blue. It's not been explained, her involvement. In fact, Gemma Collins has taken to socials to say, you know, we don't yet know the full story. She has more to say on this. You know, perhaps there will be more videos explaining her involvement. But from what we can gather at the moment, this is the Department of Education trying to appeal to young people, those 16 and over. And Gemma Collins has got millions of followers all over social media. So it's the children, the young people they're targeting, not necessarily the parents. Can you see it from that angle?
Yes, however, you know, there are other celebrities that could have been used, that have been campaigning for a long time and do understand the needs far better than a lot of other people. You know, just talking about Kelly Bright or Cary Grant, for instance. They've been campaigning for a very long time. And at the moment, it's, you know, what are they appealing to young people about? You know, has Gemma Collins been told the whole truth with all the problems with the SEND system? Because, you know, it's so incredibly in depth and it's been so broken for such a long time. It just feels like, why on earth have they not been talking to us parents, charities, teachers instead?
Yeah, I mean, Gemma Collins has given interviews about the fact that, you know, she left school with minimal qualifications and, you know, she wants to be in the Department of Education to discuss preventing similar outcomes for today's pupils. I mean, we know there's a lot of talk about, you know, not all kids have to go to university, have to get top-level qualifications. There are other avenues for children to go on and pursue successful careers and lives. However, as you said, as a parent of children with special educational needs, there are serious issues that need address, and to release a jokey video, they've sort of hit the wrong tone, haven't they, in terms of, you know, that should be addressed rather than getting Gemma Collins in for a bit of fun and a bit of attention. You know, it's got the wrong attention, basically.
Completely. You know, and I know that they say, you know, there's never any bad press. Well, you know, we disagree on this. You know, the PR team, we don't really know what they were thinking at all, to be honest. You know, and this isn't just talking about, you know, children, you know, not going to university and then doing better for themselves. We've got primary school children that are not at school. They do not have a suitable setting. We've got children that are suicidal because of mental health problems, because of the broken sense systems. You know, this isn't light-hearted. And this really is appalling to see this being sort of a comedy sketch, even with topics that mean so much to us parents. And you know, many of us parents have had to give up work. We've had to get lawyers involved. You know, even with my son, you know, I've got two autistic children, and my eldest, I couldn't get him into a SEND school or get an EHCP without getting a lawyer involved, just for a basic education. And these are the things that need talking about. We don't need silly comedy sketches with reality stars.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's no hate to Gemma herself. We actually feel quite bad for her, to be honest, that she's sort of been thrown into this.
She's been caught up in this, hasn't she? And Lisa, you make a good point there. I mean, because Gemma Collins gets into Bridget Phillipson's office and sits down and has a conversation with her. I bet you and other parents of children with special educational needs would love that 5-10 minutes of her time to sit down and talk to her face to face about the reality of what you're dealing with. What would you say to Bridget Phillipson?
Oh, 100%. I mean, for one thing, you know, the people behind the social media side and everything, they quite often turn off the comments from us parents. So, you know, we always feel like we're hitting a brick wall where we're not actually being listened to at all. But it wouldn't just be a conversation with myself, because I am just one parent with one story. It would need to be with several parents, several teachers, head teachers, charities, organisations. It needs to be so many people that are spoken to get to the bottom of what all our concerns are. And, you know, many of our concerns at the moment are all around the white paper, where we feel that our children are losing their legal rights. And this is not okay, not for the parents that have fought for years and years to get their children EHCPs, which are vital. And
because this is all about the future of where your children are educated, what schools they can go to, whether they can go to a school that specialises in their needs or whether they have to stay in mainstream education. It's a huge controversy and a huge concern for parents at the moment. That's what you're alluding to there.
It is, and it's such a basic thing. You know, in this country, you don't ever have a child. You know, when you have a baby, you'd never expect you'd have to be fighting for a school place. I mean, you cannot imagine, you know, the parents who have children that don't have any additional needs and go to mainstream schools, can they imagine not having a school for their child? Can they imagine having to travel over an hour to get to the nearest suitable school? It's just not acceptable.
Well, Lisa, I really appreciate you coming on to talk about this tonight. As you said, it really has struck the wrong tone with parents. In fact, you know, so many parents on social media, like yourself, saying it's just tone deaf. Bridget Phillipson should be confronting your reality rather than sitting down with reality TV stars. Lisa Lloyd, author and campaigner, really good to have your company tonight in the UK tonight. Thank you so much. You made some really, really important points. Still to come on the programme. Former Formula One champion Jenson Button on a mission to get more children into motorsport.
This is how you travel when the mafia wants to kill you.
He's almost given up his own freedom, but that's the price he's willing to pay.
Here, they don't just arrest and Ndrangheta mafia members, they also live among them.
Time after time, I've seen the devastating impact of extreme weather and climate change.
We don't have much snow at the moment.
They've had a warm spring and exceptionally hot summer, and that means they're expecting to lose more than 3 times the amount of ice than they usually do.
Flames are still forcing people from their homes and leaving many questioning their futures.
Here was my life. We have nothing. I can't say anything, it's so sad.
This disaster is testing the resolve of everyone on this island.
The only way out now is by boat.
Everything you see is devastated, and the misery being felt by people living here is repeated in towns and villages across Central Europe.
Sky News, get the full story first.
Turkey is burying its dead. The loss is profound.
Whole families died in this collapse, generations wiped out.
The violence has penetrated the heart of the city rather than being contained to the estates around the edge, and that speaks to the level of anger being felt here. In Sweden, police have seized a lethal stash. This is just a small sample of the deadly arsenal taken off the streets.
This is an example of an advert, really. Anyone of any age could say, I'll do that for £1 million, and then have to go and shoot someone.
Yes.
I'm Siobhan Robbins, Sky's Europe correspondent based here in Berlin.
Fire, shouts the commander. There's a dash to safety.
We've now got to wait inside the shelter to see if there is incoming.
I'm Deborah Hames, Sky security and defence editor. Should Russia's war with Ukraine escalate significantly, pilots like these could be called upon to go into combat for real.
Nursing staff say children and young people are being unforgivably failed as new analysis shows some are having to wait up to 3 days in A&E to receive mental health support. The Royal College of Nursing has called for government action to address what they describe as a catastrophic system-wide failure by NHS mental health services. Our health correspondent Ashish Joshi spoke to 2 women whose sister died waiting for help in her local A&E.
Best way to describe it is it's like a safe place.
A safe place is exactly what Adrian needed. He struggled with his mental health since he was a child.
It's one of those that is kind of self-contained.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
This is all yours?
Yeah, it's all mine.
A week ago, Adrian tried to take his own life. He was brought here to Barnsley Street in East London.
So it's a single bed. You have pretty much everything that you need.
It's part of an NHS trial helping people to recover in the community. Were you in crisis when you came?
Yeah, I was in proper state. It just kind of all happened at once, you know, got the keys, I moved in and be like, yeah, you're part of redundancy process. And I just literally it's like a plane crash. I know I'm quite, I'm talking here with you now today, but I can also be extremely quiet. I'm not very demanding. I don't ask for things, but really struggle, kind of be like, hey, I need help.
Yeah.
Typical guy.
If this wasn't here, where would you have gone?
I don't know. Like, I could be on the street, I could be homeless, I could have spiraled completely out of control. Obviously being suicidal and all that stuff, cannot be here at all.
So a space like this ultimately saved your life?
Yeah.
Barnsley Street is one of 6 sites around the country described as neighbourhood community mental health centres. Patients are encouraged to be independent, but there are psychiatrists, nurses and support workers on site to provide care, advice and medication.
The hospital is just 10 minutes walk down in that direction, and we'll be going there regularly, once a week, say, to go and see people in A&E or other wards there.
Adrian is under Shiraz's care.
We'll go and see people, and once we're sure that there's no physical health issue or other reason to stay there, we will bring people back here to carry on the conversation and to make a plan of what needs to happen next.
Hospitals across the country are struggling to cope with high numbers of patients attending A&E in a mental health crisis.
They're actually now expecting us to come, so now they're used to us. I think there's a bit more of a flow because they know that someone's under our care and we need to go and see them.
This project has been inspired by a programme adopted in Trieste in Italy, and it's been copied by many other countries across Europe.
We don't exclude anyone, so people that might have a psychotic illness like schizophrenia, people with bipolar disorder, depression, and people who are struggling with their emotional regulation and suicidal thoughts. And the idea is we get to know people really well. We don't want to refer them to multiple different teams. We don't want them to go somewhere different.
NHS England is impressed by the results so far, and it's considering opening more community sites. But Barnsley Street only has 2 years of guaranteed funding.
Our hope is that we can keep that resource coming and to try and make that money permanent so we can really lay down some roots and start thinking about our care long term. So I need a good 10 years to really show what we can do.
This time last year, I was asked to see for myself how King George's Hospital in Ilford, East London, was struggling to cope with the number of mental health patients in their emergency department. It was overwhelming for patients and staff.
We're getting on average about 15 to 20 mental health presentations to the department. Some of these patients can be really difficult to manage and really complex. If a patient's in crisis and wants to harm themselves, there's lots of things in this area that you can harm yourself with.
But the man in charge of the country's mental health system warns that services are stretched.
People waiting a long time, a lot of people waiting, I think is a very big challenge for us. I think up and down the country we're meeting that challenge, but we know that we've got to do a lot more in that area.
Patients waiting for years for an autism diagnosis doesn't sound to me like you're meeting that challenge.
No, I agree, it's not acceptable. We know that there has been a huge demand in people coming forward. It takes a while to meet that challenge, but we're aware of it and we're determined to do all we can. We know that there are gaps and we can't fill those gaps straight away. For example, it takes years and years to train a psychiatrist. If we want more psychiatrists, we have to wait for them to be properly trained, make sure that they're adequately supported.
I spoke to a patient who uses this service this morning, and he asked me to ask you, why aren't there enough mental health beds? What would you say to Adrian?
So the number of beds have fallen within the last 15 years, but we have moved to a more community-based treatment service. We do have high occupancy rates. It's an endless tension. It does partly depend upon the staff that you've got available, because if you open a new ward, that takes up an awful lot of staff, and at the moment our staff can only come from a finite pool, so we would then have to take people away from community services, and community services is where most people want their care to be. So it is a delicate balance.
It's just kind of important to be, you know what, stop, I need help.
Adrian doesn't know if he'll need to use this neighbourhood mental health service again, but for now at least, it's here if he does. But other mental health patients around the country who live in fear of their next crisis may not have the same support when they need it. Ashish Joshi, Sky News in East London.
And if you've been affected by that story, you can contact the Samaritans at any time. Their number is 116 123, or you can visit samaritans.org. So to come here on the UK Tonight, we'll be hearing from Formula One's Jenson Button about his early career, the campaign for the next generation, and his 2026 F1 predictions. And we'll have the latest from the Europa League final, plus England's women chasing victory against New Zealand in the cricket tonight.
This is how you travel when the mafia wants to kill you.
He's almost given up his own freedom, but that's the price he's willing to pay.
Here, they don't just arrest 'Ndrangheta mafia members, they also live among them.
Time after time, I've seen the devastating impact of extreme weather and climate change.
We don't have much snow at the moment.
They've had a warm spring and exceptionally hot summer, and that means they're expecting to lose more than 3 times the amount of ice than they usually do.
Flames are still forcing people from their homes and leaving many questioning their futures.
Here was my life. We have nothing. I can't say anything, it's so sad.
This disaster is testing the resolve of everyone on this island. The only way out now is by boat.
Everything you see is devastated, and the misery being felt by people living here is repeated in towns and villages across Central Europe. Sky News, get the full story first.
Turkey is burying its dead. The loss is profound.
Whole families died in this collapse, generations wiped out.
The violence has penetrated the heart of the city rather than being contained to the estates around the edge, and that speaks to the level of anger being felt here. In Sweden, police have seized a lethal stash. This is just a small sample of the deadly arsenal taken off the streets.
This is an example of an advert, really. Anyone of any age could say, I'll do that for £1 million, and then have to go and shoot someone.
Yes.
I'm Siobhan Robbins, Sky's Europe correspondent based here in Berlin.
Fire, shouts the commander. There's a dash to safety.
We've now got to wait inside the shelter to see if there is incoming.
I'm Deborah Hames, Sky's security and defence editor. Should Russia's war with Ukraine escalate significantly, pilots like these could be called upon to go into combat for real.
Now, my next guest tonight is on a mission to get more young people into motorsport, in particular into Formula One. Former world champion Jenson Button is leading a competition to find the youngest team principal in the country in the hope of inspiring the next generation of drivers and in other areas of the sport as well. Well, it comes as Jenson marks 20 years since his first race win at the Hungarian Grand Prix. I sat down with Jenson and started by asking why he wanted to get involved in this campaign.
When I was racing, the demographic was my age or older. Now they are a bit younger, but they're sort of 20s, 30s. And we're trying to get the real youth, the kids, into the sport. You know, when I was a kid, I used to drive little cars around, little Hot Wheels around, through my living room, up the stairs to the bedroom. And that was my life before I started racing.
Then you did it professionally.
Exactly, exactly. So for me, it's really nice to see that Hot Wheels and Formula One are working together to find, you'll love this, the tiniest team principal.
How tiny?
From 5 to 10 years old.
I have a 6-year-old daughter who is an F1 nut. So she will love this idea because, again, it's something you watch on a Sunday, Saturday as well, with qualifying if you're really into it. But again, how do you see a path into it? What was your path into it? Because yours was quite unusual. Your family made a lot of sacrifices because I guess the long-held view has been you need to be backed by quite a bit of money to be a driver or to get any kind of foot in the door.
You do. And back then it wasn't so much. Now it's a lot of money that's needed to go through the junior ranks of motorsport, even karting these days. But for me, it was karting. So my dad bought me a go-kart when I was 7, just to have fun on the weekends. So I drove around the pub car park, which was amazing. And then I went to an airfield, and I was like, oh, this is good. But I got bored quickly. And then he took me to a racetrack, which I loved, and then got bored. I was so spoiled. And then he put me in for my first race, and I won it. And I stood on the top of the podium and I looked down at the other 2 kids and I had a bigger trophy than them. And that was it. I was hooked. Yeah, we had struggles through my karting career, but then got lucky. I got sponsored when I was 17 to race in Europe.
That changed everything.
Exactly, and then paid for my junior formula racing. And then when I was 20, I was already in F1.
What are the routes into the sport? Because I'm sure you get asked this a lot, because Formula One now has a new generation of fans. It's been 20 years since your first Formula One win, the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's changed so much since then. So how can people find a route in?
Yeah, it's still the same at the beginning. You know, it's getting kids into sport, into driving little racing cars around their living room and having heroes really in the sport. And they're like, well, I like him. He's funny, or he's got a nice smile. I want to support him. And that is the starting point. And then it's karting. There's a new route into motorsport now, which is simulators, which is a really big thing. Still not cheap, but a lot cheaper than karting. And we're seeing a lot of youngsters come that way. Max Verstappen has been very positive about simulator racing, which is really good because it helps get it noticed with sponsors and teams in the sport. So yeah, that's the options really. And then hopefully you get picked up by one of the teams in F1 who are looking at drivers from as young as 9 years old now.
Jensen, I have to ask you, there are only 35 F1 world champions and you are one of them. It's been a decade since you raced professionally in F1. How do you think you'd get on nowadays in an F1 car?
Well.
Yeah? That's the attitude you need to be a champion.
Exactly,
I like
you've got to be positive. I only retired from racing 7 months ago. Up until the end of last year, I was still racing professionally in World Endurance Championships, so racing at Le Mans things. So I feel that if I jumped in an F1 car now, yeah, I would be all right. Yeah. I wouldn't be as good as I was, just because I've got kids now. I understand danger, whereas
that's why the drivers are so young. They've got no sense of sort of
danger,
mortality and fear,
exactly.
And they've got none of that on their shoulders.
Yeah, I definitely feel that a little bit more. So the edge is gone.
Yeah.
But I still love my racing.
Kimi Antonelli, do you think he's got what it takes to win a championship, perhaps this season? I mean, you know what it takes.
Yeah, he's definitely got the speed. You know, I think we've seen that from him on many occasions. The consistency isn't something I thought we'd have in his second year in the sport. So it's impressive. I mean, the 3 races that he's won haven't been straightforward either. He's got a lot to learn, which is what's most worrying, I think, for the drivers that he's racing against.
And just a final question. I couldn't let you go without making a prediction for this weekend. Obviously, the Canadian Grand Prix. How are you looking at that one?
You have to say Mercedes are the favourites, but McLaren are looking strong, and it's lovely to see because the first 2 races were an absolute disaster for them. So I expect to see Lando and Oscar both fighting for a win. I think they both obviously are capable, we know that, but it would be nice to see them taking the fight to Mercedes. We all want more than 2 drivers that are in the same team fighting for the championships.
Right, let's continue with the sport. Jess has the rest of the day's sports news.
How would you describe James Milner, the person?
Boring.
I went there probably thinking the same as everyone else, the boring James Milner, anything but.
Dry English humour.
He's always the last man standing on a night out.
He's got another side to him.
Doesn't drink, but he's there to the end. If you leave early, you're getting stick.
Obviously the parody account got set up.
It was one pre-season, it came out. Whoever it is, we still don't know.
He countered that, didn't he? Unassuming, humble, great fun, great to be around, incredible company.
A very unique player and a unique person.
James is a wonderful player, an outstanding footballer, but players get linked consistently here.
He knows what the club thinks about him, and we will wait for his decision.
I had 2 years left, and I was looking to stay at the club when the contract didn't come, and then eventually a contract came, and it was effectively a pay cut. You know, in the end, the club offered something which was probably at the time when I'd made my mind up was right at the end, whereas the mindset originally was to stay. It got to a point and it was like, well, might be better off going.
I think at that time it would have been coming to the
Or keep it Sky News, because we'll have it as well as soon as it breaks. Right, let's have a look at the weather before we go, shall we?
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors Sky News weather.
Oh, well, I don't get to say this often. The weather is going to be good for the bank holiday weekend. Many parts of the country seeing long spells of sunshine and temperatures in the mid to high 20 degrees Celsius. For now, though, it's going to be unsettled. I know my floor manager just fainted at that news, if you could hear that, but he didn't really. Are you OK, Andrew? Yeah, he's good. Right, longer spells of rain for some of us before we get there. This evening, showers are going to die away to leave a good deal of dry weather across England and Wales, although cloud will increase in the west and the southwest as rain over Ireland pushes northeast.
All Clear Travel Insurance proudly sponsors